How's it going, everybody? I'm Ryan, he's Abby, we are the Expansion Bros. Thank you to every Sabres and Canucks fan that is listening to this podcast that lets us start your week off. We appreciate you guys, and we invite you to subscribe to the channel here on YouTube so you can get the podcast in video form. We're at RyeSquad on YouTube, and if you want to take the podcast on the go, well, go ahead and subscribe on any podcasting platform that you use, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anything else, you name it, we can be found there. And you know what else can be found is a bunch of Canucks at the All-Star game. You guys are flooding the All-Star game with Canucks players, and I mean, you guys deserve it, right? So it's gonna be fun. You guys could basically just take on the rest of the league. Canucks versus the Metro, Canucks versus the Atlantic. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, no, I'm extremely excited for the All-Star game. I can't remember if we've ever had this many All-Stars. Most importantly of all, my boy Thatcher Demko rightfully voted in. Should have Vezina consideration this year, and he's been bloody brilliant. And then obviously we had Captain Quinn Hughes selected right off the bat. Also worthy selection, 11th in scoring right now. To be clear, that's of all scorers, not just defensemen. Ahead of Cale Makar. Eat your heart out, buddy. We also got one of the top goal scorers in the league, Brock Besser, Elias Pettersson, no explanation needed, and JT Miller, who I think might be top 5 in points right now, if not has been top 5 in points for a lot of the season. So again, it's a little odd that he wasn't selected to be an all-star right away. Obviously we had Quinn Hughes, but this is where you kind of question that everyone needs representation. You know, does Boone Jenner really need to be at the all-star game instead of JT Miller? I don't know. But speaking of people who are selected for the All-Star game, I want to give you a congratulations, Ryan, a well-deserving All-Star, not a pity All-Star, Rasmus Dahlin from the Sabres.
Yes, Dahlin's not having his best season, I don't think, by any stretch, right? There's been lots of stuff to talk about there, and we will break it all down as the season continues. But I think he is deserving, right? And I get what you're saying, that like Boone Jenner versus does JT Miller as first ballot. The important part is they're going anyway. They do have a process. You know, as a fan of a team that's been bad for the last 12, 13 years, right? Like the All-Star game is now more fun to me because I get that little personal, like I get to watch Dahlin play with all these great players. And I know Columbus Blue Jackets fans probably are excited to see Boone Jenner. I know Adam Fantilli is having a great season. I think he might have been more enticing for the league to put in, considering, you know, Connor Bedard is not going to be able to make it. Although he is apparently practicing with a non-contact jersey from what I heard. So he's fractured his jaw 10 days ago and he's back out there. There's no hitting in the All-Star game. So maybe, just maybe, he could go, right? I mean, nobody's going to touch him, right? It's 18-year-old kid. Everybody talking about him like the next Sidney Crosby and the next great Connor McDavid-esque player, right? So you're not going to have like Matthew Tkachuk run him or something like that at the game. So I think he'd be safe if they did go. But I get what you're saying, right? You want the best players there. Boone Jenner is not one of the top 32 players in the league, right? It's just, you know, that Marner has to get voted in just because Matthew's on his team. The one from every team rule, I don't know. And how big can the All-Star game really get, especially now with 3-on-3 rather than 5-on-5?
That's one of the things that makes me miss the 5-on-5 format, was that you'd have, you know, 12 forwards per team, 6 defensemen per team, 3 goalies per team. That was really enjoyable, and they really made the skills competition weekend, you know, feel like something special. You know, seeing Luongo, seeing the Sedins, seeing Kessler go to those events and seeing them don the jersey. It was always something very, very special. But
and watching Ovi and Crosby, rivals, right? Drafted, you know, it's all that talk, right? Crosby and Ovi are playing on the same line for the Eastern Conference. Like that's the kind of thing you want to see. You're not, it's an all-star game, right? You're not looking at like, like we said, Boone Jenner or Jason Dickinson, right? Those guys that could potentially be playing on a line with Cale Makar. It's different, but I mean, I get it at the same time. You know, I'd have more fun if there's, with the Sabre involved. I guess the answer is just get good, but at the end of the day,
skill issue.
Yeah, at the end of the day, though, like I think it's better for the league to have everybody there. I understand you won't have like, everybody that should be there going. But I think for the most part, the selection system with these 12 extra skaters and stuff like that, I think it makes sense. And I'm hoping that they what they're talking about and focusing on a return to form for the skills day. I'm hoping that is more fun, right? Because it's just kind of felt so black. They've tried to do all these like skits in between them. It's like, I just want to watch McDavid skate fast. I want to see how fast Pasta can hit the targets. I want to see the goalies have a great job in the breakaway challenge. Like, I want to see the players' skills on display. I don't want to see them shoot pucks on a golf course. And I don't know. I just want to see the hockey aspect.
Yeah, no, totally agree. The breakaway challenge is one of my favorite things. Remember, you'd see like goalies like turn around backwards and try to make a save, or you'd see them do like fancy moves, and you'd see the skaters. I remember one of my favorite memories was I don't remember which All-Star game it was. It was Malkin and Ovechkin were goofing off together, and I think one of them put on glasses and had 2 sticks while skating on a breakaway and scored, and it was absolutely hilarious to watch. But it just felt so authentic, and it really felt like All-Star weekend to me. But speaking of people like Crosby, Ovechkin, the Sedins, and Luongo, what those guys have going for them is that they're multi-time All-Stars. And that's something that we haven't seen with the Canucks. We saw Demko go once, we saw Besser go once, we saw Hughes go once. I think Patterson might have gone twice, but I think it's just once. And now all of them are coming back for a second time. And seeing these players become multi-time All-Stars, that's how you really know your team has that level of talent. JT Miller as well. All these players becoming multi-time All-Stars, it shows that it isn't necessarily a one-off season. These players have had good seasons, and hopefully, fingers crossed, will continue to have good seasons where they can get selected to the All-Star team again and just show that this Canucks team really has just an incredibly high level of skilled players.
Right, and it just talks about establishing that core, right? That's what every Stanley Cup favorite or Stanley Cup, somebody in the conversation, right? You got to have that core of dudes that when the lights get bright, they shine the brightest, right? And it just shows sustained success, right? You're not having these guys on this shooting percentage bender that go once and they never touch 20 goals ever again in their career, right? Hello, Zemgus Girgensons, right? No, all right, he got voted in because the fans took over from Latvia. That was awesome. It's an awesome story, but we're not talking about Zemgus Girgensons as a true all-star. When you look at what the Canucks roster looks like now with multi-time selections, right? Girgensons is the perfect example of one guy that got to go, and it was awesome. But when you talk about a guy going 2, 3, 4 times in his career, maybe more if they're really one of the elite of the elites, I mean, you're talking about a player that you are building a franchise around. And to have a couple of those guys on your team means you are a legitimate Stanley Cup contender. I know we've talked about the Canucks and their analytics sometimes aren't the greatest. Their PDO is really, really high. And how sustainable is it? But when you have talent, success is sustainable.
And I think we talk about PDO. The Canucks currently, or at the time of their basically halfway mark of their season, had the 5th highest PDO of all time for that point in the season. For context, first and second place in that list won the Stanley Cup.
The 80s Oilers.
Third place lost to the second place 80s Oilers. It was the Islanders, I believe.
Yep.
And 4th place, I think it was the Penguins, lost in the Eastern Conference Finals in Game 7.
Yeah, the 95-96 Penguins. I mean, that is very good company to have, man.
If the Canucks lose in Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals, A, I'll be heartbroken. But B, it'll be a successful season. That's the farthest we've gone since 2011. Because even in the bubble season, we lost in what should have been round 2, essentially Game 7 to the Golden Knights. So, yeah. I know it's kind of weird because we had that random wild card round against the Wild. But the point is, it'll be the furthest we've ever gone. So that's why I understand PDO is the thing. But at this point, it almost seems more like a positive indicator than a negative indicator.
Right. Well, yeah, it's just basically, it's a simplistic stat, right? We're not saying, oh, your team, is good measured by PDO. It basically just tells you what kind of luck you're getting, right? It's shooting percentage plus save percentage. And that's it, right? It's simple, straightforward, right? Are you getting pucks to go in, and are your goalies getting saves? That's really all PDO tells you. And, we say that it normalizes around 100% because on average, right, 100 PDO means, you're shooting 10% and your goalies are making 90% of the saves. That's pretty standard, right? We've come to accept that as the average, maybe 8% save shooting percentage, but I think that's gone up. I think league average shooting percentage has probably gone up. I don't have any stats to back this up, but I have to assume.
Sounds right.
Yeah, right. Save percentages are on the decline, right? Not many guys are averaging 910 anymore when that was like an average goaltender. Now it's like if you're above 900, you're like, okay, yeah, you're an average NHL starter. So we're seeing PDO flux, but it still adds up to 100. But, like we said, sustained success. Do you have talent, right? It's the question, is Zemgus Girgensons shooting 20% and has 22 goals halfway through the season, right? Or are you Elias Pettersson, Quinn Hughes, JT Miller playing like you're normally playing, and the pucks are just going in, maybe a little bit higher than career average, but nothing to scream that, hey, this is not sustainable. And I think the Canucks success is sustainable. I keep saying this every time I talk about the Canucks, and I'm talking to friends and family and other people just at games, right? The Canucks play hockey the right way, and it's fun to watch. Like, they do the little things that good teams need to do to win games in this league. You get 2 points, and some nights it's not the greatest. Some nights you may get dominated by a bottom team like you did against Columbus, but on the whole of a season, right, I'm backing the team that plays the game like the Canucks to go a long way.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've talked about it basically every episode. The back checking, the forechecking, the breakout. The Canucks are they're finishing the Canucks, and they're getting great goaltending. The Canucks are improved in every facet, and they're playing like a top tier team. And we saw it on this road trip. They've gone 5-1-1. And if we just look at the Eastern swing, 5-0-1, beating every team in New York and New Jersey. It was a very, very impressive performance. And I know we ended up dropping the last one against the Blue Jackets in a shootout, but that's a team that was dead tired, wasn't able to catch the plane they were intending, probably didn't even get to their hotels and stuff in Columbus until at the absolute latest, like midnight, or the absolute earliest midnight. Yeah, we took the 2 points, but you guys had to punish us for it. I understand. Took your penance.
Didn't score a goal, but man, are we gonna cost you some sleep? That's our thing.
Yeah. You cost us a point. To be fair, you cost us a point. Might have been smarter to score that goal, take us to overtime, and then let us beat you, so you could have had the point.
I would have liked the point.
I digress. It was overall throughout the weekend a bit here, just wonderful efforts. I think they kind of ran out of gas there against Columbus, but again, when you're running on such little sleep and you're on a 7-game road trip, it's really hard to blame the players. And obviously, even the good teams lose to bad teams. Like, I'm pretty sure the 73-9 Warriors lost to some pretty dog water teams as well.
They lost 9 games, right? I mean, good teams lose games. It's just sports, right? That's why we love it. But no, you're right. You're absolutely right. You haven't been home in 11 days, 12 days, 13 days. Is it something like that? Yeah. The second they played against Ottawa on home ice, and then you head out to St. Louis, the 4th, and then you don't come home until the 16th, 15th, 16th. I mean, that's like a week and a half, almost 2 weeks of just being on the road. So, and then getting out of the blizzard here in Buffalo that's exhausting. That's stressful after playing against the Sabres. And then you go to the Blue Jackets, who are at home. They're fine. And you lose in a shootout. I think that's just one of those things. Maybe on another night, you guys go 6-0 on the eastern part of your road trip. And really, I'm looking at just I'm a box score watcher right now, right? A lot of other stuff happened this week, but 6-4, 6-3, 5-2, 4-3, 1-0, and then a 3-4 shootout loss. So pretty much against every team except for Buffalo, the goals were there, and you paired it with good goaltending, right? If you're going to allow 3 goals or less, I think you're going to win more games than not, especially when you're scoring an average of 20 of 4 goals per game almost. I'd take that any day, right? 6 goals, 5 goals, 4 goals. Like, You're going to win games when you score that many goals. Trust me, I remember that from last year when the Sabres could actually do stuff like that. It's more fun to watch, and you win games, and they're exciting, right? So, I mean, all facets of the game came together for you guys on this road trip. And yeah, you know what? The Blue Jackets game, I'm not even going to harp on that one too much. That's one of those, after 82 of these suckers, and you guys are the 1 or 2 seed in the West, we're not going to think about this. Maybe we will think about the shootout loss and how you guys needed that point, but I'm sure there's another effort somewhere along the line that you drop a point or two that could be costly, but you guys are just playing so well right now. We talk about this every week, right? How interesting can it get if we just talk about how great you are? But I mean, listen, it's exciting. It's entertaining. It's good to see Vancouver finally turn it around. And I think you got to give Rick Tocchet a ton of that credit, getting these guys to play the right way. Whatever he's got against Kuzmenko, I guess, okay, because it's working, though.
Results do matter. And I think it also should be noted, the Canucks didn't just have 5 All-Stars. They had 6. Tocchet is also going to the All-Star game as a coach. And he's also the leading candidate for the Jack Adams right now. And I think rightfully so. Just to go back to your point about the road trip and the Canucks both getting offense and having good goaltending, they lead the league in goal differential right now. They're pretty far ahead of everyone. The next closest team is the Winnipeg Jets, who are the team competing with the Canucks for the top of the West and top of the league. So there's the Canucks are losing small and winning big right now, which is fun to watch. It's good hockey to watch. You know, as much as I love a tight struggle, it's always a lot easier to sit back in your chair and be like, oh yes, the Canucks are up 5-2. And we're probably gonna win like 6-3 or something. You know, it's a enjoyable watching experience. You know, minimal heart palpitations and all that. It's a very, very different from. I'm a Seahawks fan, so if you know the Seahawks, they like to give you a heart attack whether you're facing a good team or a bad team. So it's nice to have a little bit more standard watching experience as a Canucks fan this year.
Yeah, and I mean, you mentioned how good you guys are doing in the goal difference category. You guys are, I think, a plus 54. The Winnipeg Jets are at plus 42, and then the Boston Bruins are at plus 30. So you guys are a plus 24 goal difference, better than third place. That's crazy. You guys have the most goals for in the league, and right, that's probably where your PDO bender really is coming from, right? Is a 44 game bender. I don't know, but
yeah, I was gonna say that's a long.
It's a long bender, man. But 168 goals, 5 more than the Colorado Avalanche, who are in second right now. We know that's a team that has all stars. But then you look at goal against too. You guys have the 5th fewest goals against at 114 right now. The Winnipeg Jets are a bit stingier defensively, but they don't have the offensive firepower. So when you look at a team, we want to. I mean, it's the second half of the season, right? We're gonna not. I don't want to talk about President's Trophy because that's whatever. That's cool, but we're talking about the Stanley Cup. I want a team that can do it all. Do you need 6 goals to beat this one opponent per game, right? The Canucks can do that. Do you need to beat this team 2-1 on a nightly basis to beat this opponent? The Canucks can do that. That's that kind of team. Like the Sabres last year, they were great, right? Like so much fun to watch. You mentioned I'd rather be up 5-2 than up 2-1 with 5 minutes to go, right? The Sabres were a team that really couldn't win games when they couldn't score. Now that changed down the stretch, but it was one of those that we knew the Sabres weren't going to go very far in the playoffs. It was about getting in. I think there was some stat where they if they didn't score 4 goals, they were like 3-19-2, like halfway through the season or something like that. And when they scored 4 or more, they were like 16-5-1 or something like it was. It was ridiculous, right? I remember that stat was like close to the All-Star break. But we're talking about the Canucks here. That's not that kind of team, right? You guys can win close ones. Win big, right? When you got to score goals, you score them. And really, I'm excited. Like you guys are going to be like, because we're not talking playoffs here in Buffalo, but when we get to the playoffs, I'll be staying up late so I can watch those Canucks games because you guys better make the freaking playoffs. I don't even want to talk about you guys missing the playoffs because that's
God. No, don't even say that. I don't want to think about that. Don't say that.
Well, I mean, you guys are second in the West right now on points percentage, and really, you aren't looking back. I mean, you guys do have 62 points. If we're going to talk about a threshold to get to make the playoffs, right, which I've been doing with the Sabres pretty much, you need 95. You need 33 more points for me to really say you're locked in. To get 33 points out of your next 38 games. It's like a point per game. You guys barely need to play 500 hockey. You can play under 500 hockey to make the playoffs at this point. Obviously, you have higher aspirations than under 500 hockey, but it's totally doable. I mean, you shouldn't we're not even going to stress about that. But no, I mean, really, it's. I think the sky's the limit for this Canucks team, man. The more I pay attention to them, because we talk all the time now and do this podcast, like it is really, really exciting. And I got to watch them up close and personal. I was at the game on Saturday, the 13th, as the Canucks beat the Sabres in a barn burner of a 1-0 game.
Oh, that's a lot of offense right there. Get your freaking glasses on, because you need eye protection from the siren going off.
Yeah, I'm going to need my sunglasses because that red light just wouldn't turn off, man. But no, Brave. And, it was actually really disappointing as a Sabres fan going to that one. Braving the blizzard, right? We're talking the puck dropped, I think, 5 hours before a travel ban. And you could definitely tell why there was going to be a travel ban, right? You show up, you're like, the boys, like the barn was full, right? Like I say full. It was not a sellout by any stretch. But for my expectations, I expected to be 5,000 or less. I don't have the exact figures of how many were in attendance, but there was a lot more than I thought. There had at least probably like 12,000 people there. And I'm like, okay, the city showed up for you. It's time for you to show up for the city against a team that, yes, has been hot, but they are now a week and a half from their families, from their hometown, from their own beds, staying in hotels. You guys have been home basically all of January. It's time to show up. And they didn't. They just didn't. Now, credit to the Canucks. They played well enough to get the win. I don't think the Canucks were very good that day either. I was not impressed by anything the Canucks did, but I was even less impressed by the Buffalo Sabres.
Yeah, I think I was a little lighter on the Canucks than you were. Just because, again, I took into context they're on a long road trip. They only mustered the one. Well, they had the one disallowed goal where I believe it was Miller was offside, and that's one of those where it's like, yes, it's very clearly an offside goal, but like, was there a material difference on that play? I don't think so. But otherwise, it was just the yeah, I bet you do. There was the other Lafferty goal, which is, again, I think we talked about it earlier. It's just the perfect type of goal that you score in the playoffs. That you score, Sam Lafferty's in front of the net, just banging it home. That's exactly the type of goals we want to see. Again, obviously, I think the Canucks also could have scored a couple more goals this game. They were missing some empty nets in that third period in particular. To be clear, not the empty net. I mean, empty nets in terms of Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen was not covering the net, and they did not hit the net. But overall, it was what we would describe as a goaltending duel, because Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen did have quite the good game, only giving up the one goal and overall making some good saves.
Well, I'm gonna
one I would highlight though. Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say I will go into this in a minute. Well, I'll let you finish your thought, but I'm gonna disagree that it was a goaltending duel. I think that Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen is the only reason this game was close.
Well, I see the perspective you're taking. That's interesting, because Demko did have some big saves. There was that save off Benson with the cross crease in the power play. Obviously that scramble towards the end of the game as well. I thought Demko was sharp. Obviously, he got the shutout, and I know the Sabres didn't necessarily have all the high danger chances, but they certainly had enough to be scary and threaten the shutout. So I still feel comfortable holding my position that this is a goaltending duel.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, right? There were chances here and there, and Demko did his job, right? Demko played like a top 5 goalie, like we know he is, right? But obviously I'm going to have such a tougher stance on that, right? You got the 2 points, your team's been playing well, like that happens. And you're willing to give my team the benefit of the doubt, but we're done with moral victories. They don't deserve the benefit of the doubt anymore, right? You have one stinker, that's one thing, but you go half the season where your longest winning streak is 2 and it happened twice. Right? Like, you don't earn any kind of like leeway in those kinds of games for not scoring the goals against Demko. And the whole time I'm sitting there thinking like Demko's playing really well, but we are not making it challenging on him. He is making routine saves with no traffic. So he's got to make those saves, right? In the cross crease one, that's the kind of thing Demko's going to do that every game, right? 1 or 2 times a game, Demko comes up with that. Great. But maybe make life more difficult when you rip a shot from the point. You're in the slot. There's no traffic. You're banging around on the power play. There's no traffic. I mean, it's just like he showed up. He did his job. He did it well. But, I'm obviously this makes it sound like I'm taking things away from Demko. I'm not. I'm saying that I think he did play a great game, but the Sabres didn't make life difficult like I would have hoped in this one.
Yeah, it's kind of what you've been preaching the whole season as well, is they're not using their size, not getting in front of the net, not screening, not digging for rebounds. They're trying to make pretty plays on the boards, I think. As when we were sitting together watching a game, that's what you mentioned. And I would tend to agree. They certainly could have been more in Demko's kitchen there, and they certainly should have been. I think Tage used his size a little bit more this game than perhaps we've seen earlier in the season, but certainly other players as well could have been doing a better job of that.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Tage using his size. I think we're finally starting to see Tage Thompson fully healthy after that wrist injury. Like I've mentioned on the last podcast, Tage Thompson looks like Tage Thompson again. He's going to have some of those games where he's quiet, but so does every star, especially when there's not much help around him, which the Sabres aren't doing much, right? The Cousins line, it looks great at times. Other times, Cousins just is invisible, right? But to your point, the Sabres. If we'll just transition now to the Sabres, I mean, I did a lot of research. I had time. My power stayed on during the blizzard, so I had time to do some time to do some research. And you hit the nail on the head there when you said they didn't get in Demko's kitchen. They don't, and that's the thing with this year's Sabres team. Now, I wanted to go look at, was last season a mirage, right? Are they just totally different? Are they really as bad as we feel like they are this year? And I looked up pretty much every stat I could on Natural Stat Trick using year over year. At 5-on-5, we're talking Corsi for percentage, goals for percentage. Corsi for is shot attempts, right? Goals for percentage, obviously the amount of goals for. Expected goals for percentage. High danger chances for. High danger shooting percentage. High danger save percentage. Straight up shooting percentage and straight up save percentage, as well as the PDO. Every stat minus goals for percentage and high danger shooting percentage is within 1% of last year.
Oh,
right?
Wow.
Corsi for percentage, 51%. Expected goals for percentage, 49.5%. High danger chance for percentage, 48%. High danger save percentage is about 82%. Shooting percentage, 9%, a little bit lower this year. And save percentage is 90.33 last year to 90.31 this year. Right. So we're talking about goaltending, right? It's crazy. The one category that sticks out the most to me, though, is high danger shooting percentage. Last year, they were shooting 18.8% from high danger shots. This season, they're shooting 14.2% on high danger shots. So they're actually converting less high danger chances than they were last year, which led me to start looking into their high danger chances and just how they stacked up across the league. Spoiler alert, it's not very good. The Buffalo.
What a surprise.
So this is now in all situations, right? We're going to move away from 5-on-5. And we're actually going to include power play and penalty kill. The power play should be the best spot where you generate high danger chances, right? Because you should be scoring. You got the extra man. You're in tight, right? You could manipulate the defense. So this includes everything. The Buffalo Sabres have scored 45 goals on 318 high danger shots. That's 14.2%. These stats are according to the NHL Edge, their new analytics website, right? Some really interesting stuff here. We're going to put that in perspective with the Vancouver Canucks. High danger goals this year, 94. High danger shots, 360. Shooting 26%. You guys are shooting from high danger areas. And then, I was like, okay, That's not good, but we know where the Sabres are in the standings, and we know where the Canucks are in the standings. I'm like, let's put it in perspective. What are some of the lowest scoring teams in the league? Give me one of the lowest scoring teams in the league, right off the top of your head. I'm sure I pulled them.
The Sharks.
San Jose Sharks, I got them. 48 high danger goals on 280 high danger shots. They have 3 more high danger goals than the Buffalo Sabres, and they're the San Jose Sharks. They don't have a player close to Tage Thompson or Alex Tuck or Rasmus Dahlin or Dylan Cousins or JJ Peterka or Jack Quinn. Like, they don't have anybody that's anywhere near our top 6. Yet they have 3 more high danger goals. Yes, they have less shots, but they're still shooting a better percentage here. Throw another one at me here. I'm sure I got it.
Before I throw the next one, I want to give an apology to Thomas Hurdle for the disrespect you just gave him. All right, Thomas Hurdle is certainly at JJ Peterka's level. Let's breathe.
JJ's playing really well this year, man.
And if Hurdle's played good for like the last 8, so that guy scored 4 goals as a rookie in 1 game. So let's give Thomas Hurdle his respect. But
they both have 13 goals. They both have 13 goals this year.
All right. You win. Peterka's better than Hurdle.
I didn't say he was better.
No, you're just acting like it's blasphemous to compare them. All right.
That's fair. All right. What team's next? Who else are we comparing us to?
Let's do the Blue Jackets.
Oh, I don't have the Columbus Blue Jackets. I actually didn't pull. I completely forgot about them and existing. So,
okay, that's just a whole nother plane of irrelevancy. So that's actually quite the burn on them.
I got them real quick here. So if it just loads real quick, I got you. High danger goals, 64 high danger goals with 311 high danger shots on goal. Reminder: the Sabres only have 45 on 318.
Oof.
So more shots, 19 fewer goals. Yikes.
Oof. Yeah, that's not great. And the Blue Jackets are not good.
No, right? So I looked at some of the lowest scoring teams in the league, like Washington, Chicago, Anaheim, San Jose. We just did Columbus. All of them have more high danger goals for than the Buffalo Sabres. And I can sort it on Natural Stat Trick on all strengths. High danger goals for percentage, or high danger goals for period. The Sabres have the fewest in the entire National Hockey League. They are not converting on high danger chances. And their high danger shooting percentage is 14.2%, right? We talked about that. The next worst team at high danger scoring percentage is the Pittsburgh Penguins at 15.6, a full percent, right? And it's just like, the high danger chances, they have them, they're there, but they're just not shooting enough from high danger areas. And it led me to look at what else the Buffalo Sabres, like, they're scoring goals, obviously, right? We're about league average in goals for this season. So what gives? Where are they coming from? Well, the Buffalo Sabres are in the 98th percentile for mid-range scoring and mid-range chances, right? So the medium danger stuff. And they're slightly above average when it comes to long term. Obviously, it's going to have to if they're going to be an average goal scoring team. But really what it says to me is this team settles for chances and they rely on natural shooting talent to score goals. Obviously, they have that in spades with Thompson and Tuck and Quinn and Cut. Like, we got a bunch of great shooters, but they're settling for the area. I wish I could show the chart here, but if you can just, in your mind, think about what mid-range would be. It's from the outsides of the circle, from the dot to the top of the circle, right? So outsides of the circle, dot to the top of the circle, that range, right? That is what the NHL is considering a mid-range chance. High danger being anything inside, like, lower than the circles and by the crease, right? No wider than the trapezoid, right? So that is high danger areas. And like you said, that's where the Canucks do a lot of their damage from, and getting in the kitchen of the goaltender, right? So the Sabres are a great mid-range team. And I was like, okay, well, what gives, right? We're doing this whole year-over-year comparison. Well, last year, the Buffalo Sabres had 137 high danger goals on 719 high danger shots. They shot 19%. So they are currently shooting 5% under last year's clip. Last year's league average was 133 goals on 737 shots. So again, they didn't take as many shots from these high danger areas as they should, but they were still scoring around league average from high danger. Couple that with having the shooting talent and being great from mid-range on the rush, and you had a team that scored a ton of goals. This season, they are 24 goals under league average in high danger chances, and the average high danger shooting percentage is 20%. So all of this screams a team that just doesn't want to get to the dirty areas, that had success in the mid-range and still does have success in the mid-range, but then they just settle, right? The defense doesn't have to worry about them collapsing, because if you give them the mid-range shot, they will take it. And the whole shot mentality nonsense that we've been talking about here on MSG and whatnot is driving me mad, because it's not about just pure shots. It's about where the shots come from. That's why one of my favorite stats is expected goals. Now, say what you will about, the flaws and how it's not widely accepted and whatnot, but it screams chance quality. And would you rather take a 50-50 chance or a 75% chance? Right now, the Sabres are settling for 50-50 chance, and they're not going for those high danger chances. It's what what this data is telling me.
Right. No, it's we talk about it a lot. It kind of reminds me of basketball, where a lot of players are eliminating the mid-range. You're either taking the layup, which has a high percentage, or you're taking a three, which is worth more. Now, we don't have the same in the NHL. A goal is a goal, right? But kind of that mid-range area doesn't necessarily have the best expected value when compared to, say, a point shot, which is the easiest thing to take, or a high danger chance, which is the hardest thing to take, but has the highest expectation of a goal. And again, it's not the same as basketball. You still need those mid-range shots, because it's a very effective shot if you have a screen and stuff in front of you. But it's also one of those shots that's a little harder to take than, say, again, a point shot or a shot from the outside where you're looking to get a deflection. So if you get too hung up on shooting from that area, it's like you said, you're giving up, essentially. You're giving up on the high danger chance, and you're compromising, and you're not getting the best opportunity you could get. So I like you. I would like to see the Sabres kind of digging and fighting more for those high danger opportunities and get that shooting percentage up as well. Because we talk about the Canucks being good at finishing. With so much finishing talent on the Sabres, you would think they need to get that percentage up to match the talent of their shooters.
Right. I don't want to downplay the Canucks, but I'd say the Sabres probably have equal star shooting power, right? Tage Thompson and Pettersson and Besser and Tuck and I'm not trying to say they're equal teams, right? But I to your point that the Sabres should be closer to the Canucks as far as shooting percentage, because the talent, it's not like we're talking about, it's just Tomas Hertl in San Jose. We're talking, like I've said, Tage Thompson. I keep saying his name, right? Alex Tuck. Jeff Skinner is somebody that lives in the high danger areas, right? Jack Quinn has a great shot. Cousins has a great shot. Peterka has a great shot, right? Casey Middlestat has a great shot. I can't believe I forgot to mention him. So, right, we go through all these great stars on the Canucks. You guys are converting on your chances. We're not, because we're not getting those chances. We're not playing the game the right way like you are. I don't want to insinuate that the Sabres are equal to the Canucks and it's just a bad shooting percentage is the reason we're not at the top of the league. Don't get me wrong. I understand we're at, because, the talent is different. But in just a pure shooting talent, I'd say the Sabres are probably up there, right? With the Canucks, I wouldn't say that you guys are that much further ahead of us, that you should be shooting 12% better in high danger chance areas,
That's fair.
And I like your point about basketball, right? Oh my God, sorry to anybody that just heard me punch my microphone. But I like your point about basketball. I'm talking with my hand. I'm getting into it now. We're talking stats. But the basketball analogy is great, right? Because you take the high value shot or you take the easy shot. You don't take the low value average shot. And that's what the Sabres are doing. The mid-range is great, but in my head, to really make it super simplistic, when you take a shot from the mid-range, you have to deal with back pressure from the forwards and defenders in front of you. When you take a shot from the point, all you have to deal with are the forwards. And when you take a shot from in tight, the high danger area, all you have to deal with are the defensemen. Now, that is the most simplistic version, completely nullifying everything about hockey, right? But it just...
Teams and all that, yeah.
Yeah, it's just... But, it makes me think that if you take a low danger shot, but you have traffic in front, a low danger shot becomes a high danger shot on the rebound, right?
Mhm.
When you're in the mid range, it's a lot harder for the screener to get a tip, to bang home a rebound. Nobody's screening when you're standing 20 feet in front of me, right? 15, 10 feet away from me. I'm not standing in front of Tage Thompson's shot. Hell no, not from that close, right? So those low danger chances turn into high danger chances, and high danger chances are what you want, right? Because those are high danger, high chance of scoring, right? As the name implies. But when you take that mid-range shot, I wonder if it's something, we'll start to see teams taking either more point shots, like hello Carolina, or getting in front of the net and taking a lot of chances there. I looked up Tampa Bay because they were a team that jumped to the forefront of my mind when I think of high danger scrum in front of the net. The first team that jumps into my mind was the Tampa Bay Lightning. They have scored, I think this is this season, I'm pretty sure, 80 high danger goals on 384 high danger shots. Right. So they're shooting about league average, but they're scoring above league average because they are shooting above league average. So the more high danger shots you take, if you shoot average with above average shots, you're going to have above average goals. It's just math.
What
right?
a concept.
Right. And that's the Sabres thing, right? They are taking 318 shots, but they're not scoring. So something needs to change. And it's, obviously, you got to watch the games to understand how are the Sabres getting these high danger chances. Are they scrums? Are they rebounds? Are they, on the power play? They're not, because the power play sucks. That was another thing I took a look at. They are actually generating one fewer high danger chance for per game, or half a high danger chance per game. Fewer on the power play, which just leads to them not getting to the gritty areas on the power play. And I think that's part of the reason why last year's power play was so good. It wasn't the Tage Thompson missile from the left circle. It was what happens after that. The goalie makes the save. He's not corralling a 97 mile per hour Tage Thompson shot. I don't care if it hits him in the crest. He's not corralling it just fine. Somebody's got to be there for that rebound. And I was really enjoying NHL Edge. I was going through it, really messing around with it. And I noticed another thing. The Sabres are playing a lot slower than they were in previous years. Last season, they were above league average in top speed, and they were actually in the 81st percentile in 18 to 20 mile per hour bursts. That's the slowest of the speed categories, right? They consider anything under 18 miles per hour not to be a burst of speed. They were in the 81st percentile last year there. This season, they're below league average in every speed category. So they are playing much slower. They are not getting up and down the ice. And I know we screamed last season that their transition game was not sustainable. And it wasn't, right? Teams that could clog up the neutral zone were able to take it away effectively. But, I still think the Sabres have a lot of skating talent, a lot of shooting talent, and they should be utilizing it, right? I'm still in my head, I'm thinking about me comparing us to the Canucks. Maybe we don't have that much depth as far as shooting talent, but I think the high-end talent is comparable. But to put that in perspective, the Canucks, you guys are right about league average when it comes to bursts, right? Your top speed is right at league average. Your 20 to 22 mile per hour bursts are just a bit under league average, right? So you guys are a team that plays as fast as the average team does. And I don't know if speed is necessarily your winning factor, right? I think you guys do a lot of the gritty stuff that a lot of teams don't want to do anymore, and which is why you guys are doing so well. With the Sabres, they are much below league average in pretty much every category. It was just kind of surprising to see that, and we can feel it. Sabres fans that are listening, think about it. Do you feel like the Sabres are scoring as much off the rush? Are they playing as fast? Is it as open as years past? No, not really. To just compare, this season's New Jersey Devils, a team that also plays with a lot of speed, are in the 90th percentile for that 18 to 20 mile per hour burst. So, you want to look at a comparable team for Buffalo. It's probably not Vancouver, but instead the New Jersey Devils.
Yeah, and I think there's always that saying in hockey, speed kills, right? But I think it's not that speed kills, it's that you need to be fast enough to keep up with the speed that's gonna kill you. So if you're playing slow hockey like the Sabres, and the Canucks played this brand for a long time, the teams that can really skate are going to beat you. But as long as you're good enough to not even keep up with them, but almost keep up with a fast team, the speed is not what decides the game. It's just if you're a really slow team facing a really fast team, then they can skate you into the ground. But if you're if they're, let's say they're at the 80th percentile and you're at the 60th percentile, that's not a big enough difference to where it's going to make a difference. I'm talking like top of the speed versus bottom of the speed. That's where they can skate around you. They can beat you through the neutral zone. They can dump pucks in and get there first. They can have those kind of, if they can get through a defensive breakdown, they're more likely to get on 2-on-1s, breakaways. But if you can keep, like the Canucks have, league average speed, generally speaking, that's not going to happen too much.
Right.
Then you can compensate.
Guys can play any game, right? If you need to turn it up a notch to beat a team like the Devils, you can play their game. But I think also with the Canucks, you mentioned them. You guys are good enough where you force other teams to play the style you want to play, right? Like the game against the Buffalo, that was the most physical I've seen Buffalo play, and it was nice to see, right? There was we won't get into the debating, the elbow from JT Miller on Dahlin, which I still, side note, we can debate whether it was a 5-minute major or dirty or whatever. How was that 4-on-4 coming out of there? Because that definitely should have been a 2-minute power play for the Sabres.
I believe it was a 2 minutes for instigating, was the penalty.
So it was 2 minutes for elbowing from Miller and then 2 minutes for roughing from Power, who just bumped into him. Miller drops his gloves and doesn't get an additional 2. So it's 4-on-4. I don't understand that.
So
you're going to call the elbow, and then if the dude drops his gloves, you're not going to give him at least 2 for roughing? He can drop his gloves and threaten to punch Power, who didn't drop his gloves, and have no repercussions except for the original penalty that you called, right? It's not like they didn't call that an elbow. Power responded, and then they both got 2. That was an elbow. Miller drops the gloves in response to Power. I just don't understand how we didn't get that power play. Like I don't know if that's going to make a difference in the game or whatever. I'm not talking about if it was or was not an elbow, whether it was dirty. I'm just saying that one was kind of shocking to me while watching the game.
Yeah, looking back on it, I probably would have given it a 2-minute penalty as well. I don't know if I would call it elbowing or boarding. Probably boarding. But if we're talking about missed penalties, I believe Mr. Jordan Greenway interfered with a certain Sam Lafferty well after the puck was in and the whistle had blown. So we'll call that a 1-for-1 minor penalty exchange, if that's all right. That's just chippy, right? Give him 2 for roughing, sure. But my point is, I don't understand how you can elbow a dude, drop your gloves, and it's not even like Power came over and ran him, right? It's not like Power came over and trucked him and Miller got up and dropped his gloves in retaliation. No, Power bumped him. Power basically just skated into him, bumped him, and it was a hit, right? It wasn't really much. He bumped him, and then Miller just lost his cool, dropped his gloves, and was like, let's go. And Power was like, no, buddy, I was just going to shove you to let you know that's not cool. And it was elbowing, offsetting, roughing, even though just the fact that Miller's gloves hit the ground and Power's didn't makes me just really question that sequence. Obviously, it's done. I think our season's, we have one more game when we have to come to Vancouver, right? So it'll be interesting to see what the retaliation is there. Let me take a look at our game log. When is that one? Because I believe it's coming up at it's March 19th. So we'll see if Eric Johnson wants to drop the gloves with all-star JT Miller again. Hey, he made a JT Miller look like $1 million, by the way. Yeah. He took those punches real well and let him tackle him too. So thanks, Eric Johnson. Freaking all he needed was a goal and an assist, and he would have or 2 goals and 2 assists, and he could have had 2 Gordie Howe hat tricks.
There you go. Sabres have been playing well though in 2024. Just to kind of wrap up our Buffalo Sabres section, they've been playing well. They've lost to the bad teams. They've lost to the good teams, beaten the bad teams, right? They lost to Seattle, they lost to Vancouver, but they beat Montreal, Pittsburgh, Ottawa, and San Jose. Next on Wednesday is a date with the Bedardless Blackhawks, and then the Lightning come to town, and that basically finishes this 5-game homestand, 6 games, seven, something like that. Anyway, January they need to keep this pace up, right? They're playing 67% hockey right now, 4-2 since the start of the new year, and you know what? They got to keep it up. And I don't believe they will until they show me that they can. They haven't they only strung back-to-back once. Other than that, it's loss, win, right? So if we just, talking about the last 4, right? Congratulations against Montreal and Pittsburgh. Sure. But then it's loss, win. You can't win, loss, win. Every 6, right? And say, well, it is 4-2, but you need to go 4-0 in a stretch, man. You need to get multi-game winning streaks. And until they do, I'm not even going to really get excited. I'm just going to kind of just enjoy watching some hockey.
Mm-hmm. And I think, sorry, go ahead.
Go for it.
I was going to say, I think this is kind of a small sample size as well. Right? We're judging them off 6 games. If they turned 4-2 into 8-4, I think that's a little bit of a different story, right? 8-4, you're a little bit more comfortable. You've won twice as much as you've lost over a bigger sample size. So I agree. It's going to be interesting watching the Sabres the next couple weeks to see if they can keep this pace up or if this was just a small sample size and they're not able to maintain it.
Yeah, I'm more willing to believe it is the latter. That it is that it's just it's kind of a mirage. So, but anyway, that wraps up the hockey talk. But we did have a question from 222 Vlogs that asked us to in one episode just let the viewers know how you and I got to know each other, how we met. I mean, I'm a Sabres fan from Buffalo. You're a Canucks fan from Vancouver. How the heck are we talking every week and chatting and how do we get to know each other? So, I mean, maybe you want to start and kick that one off.
Yeah. So you guys know I'm from Vancouver. I'm from a suburb of Vancouver called Coquitlam. And growing up, I was always a big fan of franchise mode and NHL, the game, of course. You all know NHL. They put whatever number at the back. I think it's NHL 24 right now.
Yep.
And I'm a big fan of the franchise mode. And I used to always watch. I'm sure any fans of franchise mode know Johnny Superb Man. 2BC Productions. He's a classic, and the way he does storylines and stuff, absolutely brilliant. But he has an issue where he goes inactive all the time, and I was looking for franchise mode content to watch, and I ran into this channel called Ryebread 3097. Pretty small at the time. I think it was 30-40 subscribers.
Yep.
And I popped in there and it was having a good time, and I saw there was this user. His name was Jay Beagle. This is back when Jay Beagle was on the Washington Capitals, and I was like, oh my god, this guy's named Jay Beagle. That's hilarious. So, me wanting to jump in on the trend, I was like, okay, I want to stick out too. So I ended up making an account. I was like, so he's gone with someone niche, right? He's a Capitals fan. He could have picked like Ovechkin or Backstrom, or I don't even remember who was on the Capitals back then. Wojtek Wolski. I don't know. But I was like, let me pick someone niche from Vancouver. And I go, oh, we just drafted this goalie, Thatcher Demko. Hopefully he'll be good. So I named myself Thatcher Demko, and I began interacting with Ryan and others in the chat. And eventually, Ryan ended up picking another moderator. He had, I think, 2 at the time. Ended up picking a 3rd moderator for his channel, and he ended up picking me.
That was... I can't remember what NHL that was. I think it might have been 17. It was really 17. Yeah, it was like right about when I started, and I actually remember your profile actually was your full name, right? It was your name. It was like I could tell like it was your personal Google account. But then I remember it was a live stream. I was live streaming. We're doing a rebuild, and Thatcher Demko was killing it, right? Young goaltender. We're rebuilding, and he was absolutely dominant, right? And I was like, Demko, you beautiful, beautiful man. And you go to click on him, and it's just the classic silhouette from NHL 17. I'm like, oh, look at this. He's so sexy. What a beautiful guy. Like, he's amazing. And then sure enough, Abby created or changed your name. And you started popping up as Thatcher Demko in the comments section, and you were very active and very supportive. And, and like you said, after that, you became a channel moderator, and I talk with my moderators all the time, trying to come up with ideas, seeing what works, what doesn't work. Did you guys like that? How is this? What should I do next? Right? We're in constant communication about the channel. And obviously when we're doing that, we're talking about hockey and we're talking about life in between. So ever since that, it's been probably 6 years now, since then that, we've talked really frequently, and been through a lot of life stages, talking hockey and just becoming friends. So it really just started one time where he was super supportive on the YouTube channel, wanted him to help out with the channel, get his ideas right. He's obviously invested, right? You were invested. I'm saying like you're not here, right? Abby, you were invested. And I wanted to say like, okay, you care about what I'm doing, you care about where I'm going with the channel, so be a mod. And you were a very supportive person in the comments and stuff too, exactly what I would hope for from a there was like, oh, this is when you become a YouTuber and you think about like, what kind of person do I want in my comment section, what kind of supporter do I want? You were there, you were liking the content, and obviously made you a channel mod. One of the best decisions I've ever made when it comes to my YouTube channel, and it's turned out to be one of the best decisions I made in life, as you become such a great friend. So I'm getting a little soft here as we end this one off, but hopefully, that's interested some of you. I mean, it's not like I flew to Vancouver and went to a Canucks game with a complete stranger and we just happened to sit next to each other, right? No storybook, no movie stuff here, but still a fun story nonetheless.
No, again, like it's such a off chance. They talk about the butterfly effect. I just happened to be scrolling YouTube at the right time when you were live streaming, and just happened to choose Thatcher Demko, who goes on to basically become my identity now. Like, it started off as just a channel meme, and people in real life now know me as that Thatcher Demko fan or Thatcher Demko or whatever, because I've branded myself. I created my Instagram just for Ryan, because we needed a place to communicate and we didn't want to use WhatsApp anymore. So I created my Instagram that I give to professionals and like my friends, and it's Thatcher_Demko. My Twitter, Thatcher_Demko, created solely for this purpose. My Discord, Thatcher_Demko. Everything was branded around becoming friends with Ryan, and it's just become my entire thing now. But overall, it's just so crazy that I met someone, like Ryan mentioned, 6 years, has become such a good friend, someone I talk to almost every day. It's just an absolute amazing thing. Butterfly effect. I just choose not to go on YouTube today. That day I would have just never met him, and I've been missing such an important chunk of my life. So I'm very, very grateful that I got lucky enough to meet him and got to know him so much better over these years. And I'm looking forward to eventually. I've got my passport renewed, so hopefully sometime over the next couple of years I'll get to actually visit him and we can hang out and maybe we'll post some pics and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And what's funny? The fact that you've made all those Thatcher Demko accounts right on every platform, the amount of times you've been accidentally tagged on Twitter. Like, it's just funny to go back and see the screenshots of like, we got another one, boys.
Yeah. The first one was Kirk Lapointe. I don't remember what publication he worked for, but he was the first one. You never forget your first, kids. You never forget your first.
Well, and on that, we've made it more episodes on this podcast than we ever thought we would. We're through episode number, I believe, 5 this is. So thank you guys that have really joined us on this journey. There's plenty more to talk about. I hope you like it. And those of you that are listening, we love to hear your feedback, right? On Spotify, there's a Q&A section. I don't always update the title of that, but you guys on Spotify, find that Q&A for this episode. Let us know some of your comments. And those of you on YouTube, you know the drill. You got to leave a like. You got to leave a comment if you enjoyed. That's all we have for today. So thank you guys so much for listening. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube or follow us on a podcasting platform, or both, because you can take us on the go. Leave us a review, a great review. It would mean a lot for us if you could leave a 5-star review or just a like on YouTube. And we will talk to you guys in the next one.
Peace.